Hey everyone, Tony D with another hot take in my cool old Next Line comedy shirt, my old improv group, in case you were wondering what the hell that shirt was. So today I'm going to talk to you about what else? Impeachment, and why the Democrats probably don't want it to happen. So let's imagine another scenario. Again, using my screenwriter abilities, I'm going to plot out a story for you. In this story, Trump gets impeached and removed from office. Okay? So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there's any chance. But let's imagine it did. Let's imagine that Democrats, here's little Joan, to say hi. Hello. Let's imagine Democrats get exactly what they want. The evidence, let's say a John Bolton comes with, finally breaks the Republican ranks, okay? And for whatever reason, they just start falling like dominoes. Oh, we're going to have to impeach him. We're going to have to impeach him. We're going to have to impeach him. And they just decide, okay, we're going to impeach Trump. And they remove him from office. Now, the first thing, I think Trump would fight them tooth and nail. So he wouldn't go peacefully. I don't think there's any kind of appeal process that he could use. So I think ultimately in this scenario, he would have to go if he was impeached. So what would happen next? Well, if Trump is removed, the next guy to go in there is Mike Pence. So Mike Pence would be the president of the United States. He would get to pick the vice president. Now, Pence is more of a typical, I would say he's more of a neocon. Not quite a neocon. We don't know all that much about him, quite frankly, or the kind of policies he would institute. Certainly, he's not very popular amongst the left because of his past. But at the same time, there isn't a whole lot of evidence to suggest that his views are all that extreme. He's more of a kind of like a Bushy, one of the Bushites, and but maybe not even as extreme as George W. Bush himself. He's probably like a guy who's going to go along to get along, especially if he's thrust into the presidency in the last few months of Donald Trump's term, which would also mean that he'd basically be running for president. Donald Trump would be out. Now, Donald Trump would be out, but he wouldn't be dead. He'd be running around screaming his head off about how unfair the whole thing is. So you'd essentially be unleashing Trump to a certain degree. He'd be on TV nonstop 24/7. Keep in mind that when he ran in 2016, part of his deal was he didn't think he was going to get elected and that he was looking to start his own network, the Trump TV network. So I got to imagine he'd slap that thing together in no time if he's not, he was probably halfway to doing it while 2016 was rounding down. So he'd definitely be looking to do that. And in the meantime, he'd be going on Fox night and day. And I'm sure even some of the other networks would cover him. The reaction, of course, to the media, of the rest of the media other than Fox, would be one of absolute gloating if the recent, CNN viral video is any indication. I talked about it in a previous video, Don Lemon going on and on about Trump supporters and making fun of them and going, dur, dur. So imagine that times a million now. So you've got all these Trump supporters who are outraged. They were very happy with the president, very happy. And now he gets impeached. Well, they're furious. I mean, they are they're just, oh my God. They're boiling. They're boiling over. Now, does that turn into violence? No. That turns into votes for the Republicans for a long time. So you can forget about Congress. Congress, it will be redder than a river of red. Congress would go right red, and Pence would, I guess, be running against Biden. And keep in mind that when George W. Bush stole the election from Al Gore was anxious to concede because the Democrats knew at that time he was facing a very hostile Congress. Congress had gone basically red. So they saw it as, well, let them have it this time and we'll take it back next time. You don't want to spend 4 years banging your head against the wall while Congress just shoots down everything you want to do. Because if you get enough of one party in Congress, you essentially have the party running things and Congress and not the president. If they have a veto majority, basically a majority that can veto the president, they can pass the legislation, the president vetoes it, and it goes right back to them, and they go, nope, it's law now. You essentially have Trump, but without Trump. You have the Republicans, but without the Republicans. So I think that would definitely be something for 2020, regardless of whether Pence won or lost. There would be a good chance Pence would win. I mean, Trump would definitely flack for him, I think. I mean, he'd be mostly complaining about himself, but he would definitely push for the Republicans to win, to at least punish the people who had impeached him. So you'd essentially have Pence and the neocons with a veto-proof majority, which is, in my view, much worse than having Trump in office with I don't know if he's going to have a veto-proof majority, but he's definitely probably going to have the House back. Say what you want about Trump. He's not a neocon. He doesn't seem to be a warmonger. Seems to be trying to bring the troops home. The neocons, no. They're ready to go to war. Now, you can argue that Trump's not doing a very good job and it's all an act or whatever, but it's the closest thing we've had to a peacenik in terms of a president. So you kind of got to take your peace victories where you can get them. You certainly don't want to go back the other way. You want at least a president that pays lip service to it, because at the very least, if he talks a big game about peace and you don't get it, you can punish him and people can get up in arms about it, and hopefully maybe you achieve some peace. So, but let's imagine further the Democrats get what they want. Biden wins, and maybe, just maybe, the Democrats manage to hold on to the House, let's say. Well, they don't have the Senate, and I don't see the Senate flipping at all. So you'd have Biden, wanting to pass a bunch of things, and the Senate just shooting it down. You'd probably still have the same gridlock, which overall, for the rest of us, would be a good thing. But you still have a lot of executive authority that's been concentrated in the president since Bush. So you have these executive orders that Bush signed and Obama signed and Trump signed a few of them, that kind of override Congress in a lot of ways. So you'd have, Biden would be forced to do a lot of those just to get anything past Congress. At the same time, you have the issue of Biden's age. Could Biden even make it to a second term? Can he even make it through a first term? I don't even think he can make it through a campaign, quite frankly. But even he, on the campaign trail, is talking about whoever his VP is taken over. So that's going to be part of the calculation when he finally picks whoever he picks. Now, some people have pushed Kamala Harris, and there was another report about Michelle Obama. Whoever he picks is definitely going to have to be younger. I mean, that would be the whole point of his pick, is like, well, yes, I'm very old, but here's the young person that'll take my place after a few years if things go downhill for me. I think Buttigieg is the likely pick. I mean, why not? The guy is young, and he's got a fan base he can bring to Biden. He checks off some of the boxes. He's gay, and him and Biden align politically, pretty much. I don't think Bloomberg is an option unless Biden's forced into it. that would be two old guys on the ticket. I think that would spell doom and gloom for the Democrats. So I don't think it's going to be Bloomberg. Elizabeth Warren, possibly, maybe if she's the only other alternative to say he's got to pick either Bloomberg or Warren. I assume he'd pick Warren, which would at least check one of the boxes for the Democrats. So, but again, I think these people, the Democrats, would be jammed up in whatever agenda they wanted to push. You'd have a extremely hostile Republican Party that you would be awakening. And understand this, the Republican Party, say what you want about them, they are effective in when they want to block something, when they want to do something in Washington, they get it done. Now, they don't do it enough for a lot of actual conservatives out there. There's a lot of conservatives out there who, talk about rhinos, Republican in name only. And, that McCain was one, Jeff Flake, and a few others. But even despite guys like that, the Republicans know how to block things. They know how to play the game. They tend to be more united than the Democrats are in a lot of cases on not really, I wouldn't say on issues, but they're more disciplined in terms of what they're going to do. So Mitch McConnell knows how to play that game. So, they're not like angry. So imagine a Republican Party like, they're just ready to do scorched earth policy. At that point, you're talking about guys who really are going to put the screws to the Democrats. And the Democrats, have formerly been very ineffective in that realm. And the Democrats have to contend with their split. Even if they win, they have this civil war going on in the Democratic Party between the far left and guys like Biden, who you'd call like neoliberal. So how are you going to rule when half your party sometimes won't even vote the way you want to? They're completely undisciplined and they say wacky things that piss off voters. So I think they're better off losing this election. Ideally, I think they'd be better off putting up Bernie and losing. Because if they put up Bernie and lose, then they can finally say to the far left, get out. You lost us an election. See, this is your fault. We lost badly. Get out. If they put up Biden, it's going to have the opposite effect. See, then the far left's going to stand on the sidelines and say, see, should have nominated Bernie. We have to go even further left, which, means they're going to be in the weeds yet another couple of cycles. So I think, realistically, either way you slice it, you're looking at Republican rule for the next 10 years. And if you make impeachment happen, you're going to be awakening even more Republicans to vote. And that's the last thing Democrats actually want. So I don't think Democrats, again, and I've said this before, I mean, besides the fact that it's helping Trump in the polls, you really just should stop this whole impeachment process and just give it up. And, as soon as this one's over, Nancy Pelosi should just announce, well, we tried and we're going to continue to investigate, and then just quietly not do it. Just quietly let the whole issue fade out of the news cycle and try to rebuild your party on something other than opposing the 2016 election. Because at the end of the day, whether you believe it's about that or not, the optics say that that's what it's about. So good luck, Dems. You're going to need it.